everybody, it's Miss Rossi. Today we're going to be making some winter polar bears. What you'll be needing today is a white piece of paper. We need a pencil and an eraser. We're going to use crayons to trace with today, and we're going to use some watercolors to color in our background. If you don't have watercolors, you can use any other material to color in your picture today. Now to start, we're going to draw with our pencil, and we're going to make a nice big polar bear in the center of our page. Starting at the bottom, I'm going to make a big curved line that comes up towards the top and back down towards the bottom. I want this to take up most of my page because this is actually going to be our polar bear's body. Now I'm going to give my polar bear a head, so inside this big curve, I'm going to draw a big oval. Inside that oval, I'm going to draw another big oval, and then one more right in the center. I'm going to add two more of those hill-like curves on the outside of my first oval. Those are going to be my polar bear's ears, and now you'll see that we made our polar bear's head and face. So I'm going to do two more curved shapes in the center and repeat that same shape to give my polar bear some eyes. I'm going to do a little curve inside the eye for a highlight and just shade that in so it's a little easier to see. So now we have our polar bear's head, the snout, and the nose. We also have our ears, and I'm going to repeat that shape once again inside there just to add a little bit more detail. Now we saw all the different things about our polar bear that help it live in the cold weather and keep it warm. I am going to add a little zigzag line of hair coming off from the top of the head, so I erased that part of the head that I drew and just had my zigzag line coming up and reconnecting. So that makes our polar bear look a little bit more furry than just leaving it nice and smooth. The next thing I'm going to do is do that same curved shape down at the bottom, and this is going to separate our polar bear's body so we can have two legs in the front. Now we're going to add some feet down by those legs, so I'm repeating that same curve from the point where my lines hit my paper to connect them. And I am going to add a few little lines in there so my polar bear has some claws. I'm done drawing my polar bear now, so I'm going to look towards the background, and I'm just going to do a little bumpy and lumpy line connecting the side of my polar bear to the edge of my page. This is going to help make it look like our polar bear is standing on an iceberg or another piece of land where it lives. And then you can also decorate your sky. I think I'm going to add some clouds in my sky, and I'm going to draw some snowflakes with my crayons when it's time to start to color. And that's what my picture looks like all finished being sketched out. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a black crayon, and now I'm going to trace over my picture. So I'm actually going to trace over all of my pencil lines that I drew to make my polar bear with my black crayon. And now I want this to be nice and dark because our crayon is going to protect the white parts of our polar bear from getting messy from our watercolor. So I'm just going to go over that line just a few times, making sure it's nice and thick and dark so it will resist my watercolor once I start to paint. And I am going to trace over all of those lines that make up my polar bear. After I finished tracing, I colored in my polar bear's eyes, making sure to leave that highlight section white. I colored the inside of his ears, and I colored in the nose. I'm also going to trace where my iceberg edge is, so that line connecting my polar bear to the side of my page. And I'm going to pick a different color. I think I'm going to use this purpley gray to trace over my clouds. But you can use whatever color you would like. And now I'm going to take a silver color, and I am going to go in the sky and make some snowflakes. Now, if you have a white crayon, that would work great. And you could draw white snowflakes in your white sky. And then once it's time for us to use our watercolor, your snowflakes will appear like magic on your paper. I don't have a white crayon in my box, so that's why I am using silver. You can also use some other colors if you would like colorful snow. Now that my polar bear is all traced and colored in where I want it, I can start to color in the background. So I am just going to paint the sky because I want to leave the snow down here white, and I want to leave my polar bear white. I'm going to use cool colors to paint today. Our cool colors are colors like blue, green, and purple. And they are called cool colors because they remind us of things that are cold, like water or ice. And I'm just going to swirl my paintbrush in my water, wipe it off on the edge of my cup so it doesn't drip all over the table, and then fill in my sky using my cool colors. I'm going to mix them all together so you get a really pretty, fancy looking night sky to go along with my snow and with my polar bear. And you can see wherever I used that crayon, so for those snowflakes, for the edge of my polar bear, that crayon is resisting our watercolor. It is making it so our watercolor paints cannot go in those spaces. Same thing with my clouds. So all of those areas that I wanted to stay white like my paper are blocked in from the watercolors using my crayon. Alright, and that is my watercolor all finished. I'm just going to take a gray crayon and fill in the bottom of my page a little bit, just so it looks different than the rest of my polar bear. There we go. And if you want to add any extra details, any other animals or decorations to your picture, you can always do that to make your picture unique and your own. It does not have to look just like mine. Mine is just an example. Now that I'm done with my picture, I'm going to let it dry and then it will be all finished. Once you're finished with your project, you can take a photo or video of it and upload it on my Canvas page. I can't wait to see the awesome, huge polar bears you guys have made. Try your best, have fun, and get creative. I'll see you soon. Bye!